G'day, this is Jim from Living Life Now. Today I'm coming to you from the Crown Princess as we're steaming towards Tenerife in the Canary Islands. We've just been to Namibia, and what a place that is. A journey of contradictions and very interesting. I took a shipload of film and a shipload of pictures, and I'll share that with you today, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and maybe learn something if you're heading there in the future. All right, let's get into it. It's 7 o'clock in the morning and we're outside Namibia. Pretty foggy out there, it's like pea soup. Been foggy most of the night. Foghorn going off regularly. Fog's coming and going as the sun's coming up. 7:30 now and the fog is lifting and land ahoy. So from the ship, Namibia doesn't look like much, and it's prone to fogs in morning and afternoon certain times of the year. But once you get ashore, that's where the real journey begins, and Namibia shines like a diamond. All the tour operators are waiting for you at the gate, and it's probably a little hard to self-explore if you want to go further afield than the waterfront. Oh, we've got something booked. Oh, we've got something booked, thank you. With Nick and Bev, we had booked a four-wheel drive tour to Sandwich Harbour for the day. There was four-wheel drives as far as the eye could see, and we eventually found ours and met our tour guide. Our tour guide was fourth-generation Namibian, and he was from German descent, and his name was too hard to pronounce for me or remember, so I called him mate, and he didn't mind that.
Slightly under 50,000 square kilometres.
There's lots of options for tours in Walvis Bay. There's coastal and desert excursions, which combine Swakopmund city and dunes, flamingos and lagoons. There's 3-hour dolphin, seal and catamaran cruises. There's boat and Sandwich Harbour combos. There's bus trips out to the local villages and opportunities to go quad bike riding or the 7 dunes. I've done another video on this, so you might check that out for some ideas. Our first stop was the Walvis Bay Lagoon, where we got to see some flamingos. So there's lesser flamingos and greater flamingos, and the ones we mainly saw were the greater flamingos. Quite a sight, but most of the time they had their head down in the water feeding, and probably not as pink as I was hoping they would be. We were there in early July, and apparently in late July, August, there's about 50,000 of these occupy the lagoon. It would be quite a sight. Next, we made our way down the road to explore the salt pans. The salt pans cover about 5,500 hectares and produce about 900,000 tonnes of salt annually. The operation is solar evaporation based, meaning that salt water is pumped into these shallow pans and then the sun and wind evaporate the water, leaving behind the salt crystal that's then harvested, washed and exported. Walvis Bay is the largest and most important salt producer in Africa. As we headed towards Sandwich Harbour Reserve, our guide gave us some facts about Namibia and Walvis Bay. Now, Namibia takes its conservation seriously. It has 42% of its land under conservation management. The Namib Desert is over 55 million years old and is home to massive red sand dunes, some of the tallest in the world. Namibia is named after the Namib Desert, making it the only nation to be named after a desert. It has a strong German colonial history, but unfortunately, it has a 51% unemployment rate, which is quite surprising given its natural resources. Our guide taught us about the sand and how it's rich in iron oxide and silica. Sandwich Harbour is only accessible by permit and 4x4 vehicle, and a guide is required as the tide timing is critical. It lies about 60 km south of Walvis Bay, inside Namibia's Nuukluft National Park. It has UNESCO status as a World Heritage Site. It is formed by a unique blend of shifting sand dunes and coastal winds and a lagoon system that is protected for its rich bird life. Some dunes around Sandwich Harbour rise over 100 metres high. Where the desert meets the ocean, it's a surreal sight, and one of the only places in the world where you can see this. There's no crowds, no buildings, just nature's raw beauty. as we stopped for some liquid refreshments and a little bit of a cuddle, the organised Princess Cruises tour came through. Now, that was a convoy of, appeared about 16 4x4 vehicles, which would have been quite exciting in the convoy, although we were quite happy to be doing our own thing in a smaller group. Interesting, Sandwich Harbour is not a real harbour anymore. The harbour was once used by fishermen and whalers, but has since silted up and vanished. We again came across the Princess Tour Group, who were having lunch and making their way up and down the sand dune. We met this interesting seal who was making his way along the sand, and when I got a bit close, he gave me a bit of a bark, so I gave him his space.
Don't get too close, in other words.
Also, interestingly, the guide said there's about 4 million of these things in the area, so it's not hard to come across one, and to him they were more or less a pest. Now, our tour guide took us to some great spots, some really great elevated scenic lookout spots where we spotted a whale.
Oh, there's something there.
We also spotted along the way a pod of bottlenose dolphins, as well as a seal, as well as a black-backed jackal who feed on the seals, and there was a few seal carcasses along the way. We also spotted a group of springboks, as well as pelicans, and lots of seagulls. Now, the pelicans and seagulls were fairly large, and this is probably a result of the abundant food for all the animals in the area. Now, for our lunch, the guide took us further inland into the desert. And for me, this was probably one of the highlights of the trip. Just doing the four-wheel driving up and down the sand dunes, some inclines about 35 degrees. And I was happy he knew his way around fairly well, because some of these drops down the dunes were pretty good for getting the adrenaline pumping. Now, I'll just play a few seconds of what was probably about an hour of four-wheel driving through the desert. I had organised to be picked up down the bottom of the dune.
Woohoo! Yeah! Woohoo!
And waited patiently for my ride. But they decided to play silly buggers on me.
Hey, come back!
I did have faith that they would eventually come back, and they did.
Oh, thanks for coming back, guys.
We found our spot for the day for lunch, and the fold-out table was brought out, and it was kind of a relaxed picnic-style affair. But the surroundings were jaw-dropping, with the towering golden dunes rolling into the Atlantic Ocean. The champagne was popped and poured along with the juices. We had a toast to good fortune and hooked into a good variety of food and drinks. The trip back to Walvis Bay was pretty straightforward, over the desert and along the beach, and a quick toilet stop. We asked the driver to drop us at the shops close to the ship to just do some souvenir shopping. The shops and waterfront area are pretty basic, but have everything you need. There's a gift shop there. There's some local vendors. There's a restaurant and bar. There's marine and tour-based operators. All this within a 5 to 10 minute walk of the cruise ship. We put a few Namibian dollars into the economy by buying some souvenirs. We had a drink there and a snack before making our way back to the ship. We passed some more local craft vendors before rounding the corner to the ship berth, where there's a group of singers and dancers bidding us farewell. Bev donated the rest of their Namibian dollars and we made our way onto the ship.
Anyway, if you enjoyed this, give it the old thumbs up and possibly leave a comment and let me know your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. Uru.